This happened back while I was in college a couple of years ago. Me and my roommate moved into a beautiful apartment in our junior year of college. Our parents made it extremely clear that two small females living alone together was not ideal for some of the cheaper, shady neighborhoods close to our college. We attended a college in our state capital, so we were in a city environment, and had certain criteria we had to meet in order for us to live there and for them to go sign our leases. Lit sidewalks, keyed entry into the apartment building, lit parking lot, X amount of blocks from campus, etc., etc. So we finally found one that fit our parents' criteria. Our apartment was an end unit that led to the fire escape, so there were 2 deadbolt locks on it. And we loved our apartment. We felt safe, we had fun, truly living the college experience. And then, my roommate's boyfriend starts slowly moving his things into the apartment and staying there way more often than he should. I finally tell my roommate that if he wants to stay here and use the water, electricity and food that I help pay for, then he needs to pay for it too, including our rent. I tell her a 3-way split, where I'm paying only my rent and he can pay the entire electricity and water and trash bill. I think I'm being pretty fair, and even though her boyfriend doesn't have a job, that's not my problem. I work and go to college, and his "I don't want to work at McDonald's" excuse, and yes, he actually said that, is completely garbage. If you want a place to stay, then to the Golden Arches you'll go, buddy. So instead, my roommate starts sneaking him in really late at night after I go to sleep, and he leaves on days that I'm home. While I'm in class, he's there, and then leaves before I come back. My schedule is extremely routine, so he knows when I'm coming and going. Well, he can't have a key, so if my roommate is in class or at work, how is he getting in? He can't take my roommate's key because if he decides to leave halfway through the day, how will she get her key back? These are all good questions, and the solution that they came up with is to leave the back door unlocked that leads to the fire escape, and then he can just jump the fence at the bottom of the fire escape when he's ready to come back. Or stick a rock in the bottom of the door. Whatever works for him, I guess. So I'm off work and school one Thursday morning, and I decide I'm going to sleep in as long as I possibly can. My roommate and her boyfriend have already left for the day, so naturally, they leave the door unlocked. I'm asleep like a little princess. It's about 10 in the morning when I hear the back door open to the apartment. I come to just enough to recognize the noise and realize that it's my roommate or a boyfriend, and I brush it off and go to try and drift back. All of a sudden though, I start hearing someone creep through the apartment. We have wooden floors. It definitely doesn't sound like casual walking either. It's clearly someone stepping slowly and quietly through the apartment. My door to my room is ajar, just a sliver, but I don't see anything out of the door, and I'm honestly too tired to get up and look. A couple of minutes pass and I figured that my roommate and or her boyfriend are just being weirdos and I fall back to sleep. I can't be sure how much time passes before I open my eyes, but it couldn't have been too long. I wake up to my door opening. My back is to the door and I'm facing the opposing wall. I slowly start to turn over to see why my roommate or her boyfriend would dare wake me from my slumber. And there he is. A burglar in my room, next to the bed that I'm currently laying in. He's a 6 foot tall, 250 pound minimum burglar, and he's unplugging my TV about 5 feet from where I currently am. I immediately pretend that I'm just shifting positions in my sleep, and continue to roll over with my eyes as shut as I could make them, but still open enough to watch what was going on. He hears me shuffling as I turn over, stops and looks dead at me, and luckily doesn't realize that my eyes are open just a tiny bit. He goes back to unplugging my TV, my DVD player, shoves it in a bag that he's brought. It looked like those bags from IKEA, and steals my change jar and casually starts walking out of the front door to my apartment, like he came in for a cup of tea or something. After I hear the door shut, I immediately spring out of bed, grab my phone, start dialing 911, all while locking the back and the front doors. The dispatcher is trying to calm me down, because at this point, I am hysterical. I can't even catch my breath to tell her okay. Luckily, I managed to tell her my address before I started hyperventilating. She eventually tells me that the cops are there, but they need me to go downstairs to let them in the building because they don't have a key to the front door of the building. I am so afraid to open the door to my apartment and even look down the hallway. I'm about to walk to the front door and extend my arm out to the handle when I hear, "Ma'am, it's the police." As if I didn't get scared enough already, they yell through the door. And I'm paranoid because the dispatcher just told me that they couldn't get in and didn't realize that someone probably let them in downstairs. I asked the dispatcher to confirm that the people at my door are actually police officers, and she tells me that they are, and they're at my door. I open the front door and I collapse right there. My legs completely turn into jello and I just hit the floor. I blacked out for a brief period of time, but they helped me up and sit me down on the couch. There's at least 10 officers in my apartment from both the city and the college departments. When I look outside the living room window to the street below, there are 5 or 6 cop cars blocking the street. I later found out that they were doing a perimeter search around the immediate area. I'm being bombarded with questions now. I have to try and find out what's missing besides the stuff from my room. I'm crying, I'm shaking. This is not at all how I saw my day off going. I tell them that my roommate left the back door open for her boyfriend, and they inspect the back door and other parts of the apartment. The next thing I know, my roommate and her boyfriend walk in, and they both have the most dumbfounded looks on both of their faces. At this point now, there is a detective talking to me, and I'm giving my statement, giving a description of the burglar and stuff missing, and looking at mugshots, etc. I immediately stop talking to the detective, look up at both of them, and blurt out, "Someone robbed us while I was asleep. He came into my room." My roommate looks me dead in the face and says, "Oh crap, is any of my stuff gone?" I just thought to myself, that's what you're asking me right now? If your replaceable stuff is missing? 2 officers take her and her boyfriend aside and talk to them while I'm finishing up with the detective. I call my then boyfriend and he comes over to help me pack my stuff to stay over his house for a couple of days, which, may I add, turned into staying until my lease at my place ended, around 4 months. After failing to recognize any suspects in a lineup, the cops slowly start leaving. After they all leave, I call my parents to tell them what had just happened, gather my things and head over to my boyfriend's house. My roommate and her boyfriend never once apologized. Well, not for leaving the door unlocked anyway, just a general "I'm sorry this happened to you" type of apology. They never even asked me if I was okay, if I wanted to talk, nothing. Well, the day my lease ended was the best day of that entire year. I couldn't wait to get away from my roommate and her boyfriend and that apartment. They never found the guy who robbed me that day. I didn't even care about the materialistic things. What really got to me was that he robbed me of my safety and security, and it took a good amount of counseling to get that back. I must admit though that I'm thankful that he didn't try to attack me that morning. But from that point on, my friendship with my roommate was tarnished, and I haven't spoken to her since then. To this day, I don't sleep with my back to the door, and I always have a knife under my mattress. This took place a couple of years ago, but believe me when I tell you that it's still relevant. A year ago, I met a guy at a bar. He called himself Joy. Ironic. I wasn't looking for anything serious, and apparently neither was he. We got along great and started hooking up until things started to get a bit weird. He began being more intimate, telling me about his life and specifically about his ex-girlfriend that killed herself not even a year ago. I honestly felt bad for him and tried to comfort him, telling him that it wasn't his fault. At some point, I don't really know when, we became exclusive. We weren't a proper couple, but we decided not to sleep with anyone else, or so I thought. I found out that he had been seeing another woman, and I was honestly pissed. For me, honesty is a very important thing, and he seemed to be just toying around with me. I set my mind and ended it with him, to which he didn't seem to care that much. Now, I was kind of sad and angry at myself since I felt played with, and I should have known better. That didn't last long though, since he kept texting me like usual, asking me to hang out as normal. I told him that I wasn't interested, and that I honestly didn't want to waste my time anymore. And then, things got creepy. He accused me of seeing someone else, said I was dishonest, and even called me names like slut. And I wasn't having this. I told him he was mental and that he should stay away from me. But he threatened to kill himself. At this point, it was beyond clear to me that he was either on drugs or mentally unbalanced. Either way, because I have a history with suicide, I was really triggered by that. The thought of someone I know dying, and me not doing anything about it, wouldn't let me sleep, even if it was just blackmail. So I text one of his friends and tell him to just go and check on him. A couple of days passed and he called me saying he was sorry, that it had been a rough couple of weeks for him, that he really wanted to see me at least just to talk. I naively accepted. We decided to meet up at a bar that we used to go to, and we mostly sat in silence. I was still kind of hurt, and in no way was I planning to get back with him. I guess I just wanted to know he was okay. The few words we exchanged were to order our drinks and some fries. It was almost as if he was ignoring me, and I got tired pretty quick. I finished my beer, left my part of the money on the table, and told him to have a good life. As I was leaving, even more pissed than before, I heard someone running behind me. Tired, I turned to face someone who was probably him, and felt a cold shiver down my spine when I saw the look on his face. It was honestly like he was possessed. He caught up to me and shoved me to the wall with his hand on my throat. "You're not going to leave me like that," he said, squeezing his hand. Now, never in my life had I been in a situation like this before, so the fear paralyzed me. But bless the waiter who ran after this maniac because he didn't pay the rest of the bill. I guess he had some experience with troublemakers because in a few seconds he had him locked down under his arm. I rested against the wall crying and coughing while the waiter called for help. I thanked him but left for my home immediately. I only told my best friend what had happened, and my fear turned to anger. I wanted to rip that guy apart, but I'm smarter than that. I'm 160 centimeters tall and I didn't exercise in any way. So if someone was going to be ripped apart, it was me. So I let it pass, under the condition that if he contacted me again, I would find a way to end him. But he never did contact me again. So, why am I telling this story now? Well, about 2 months ago, I saw him. Not in person, but on TV. He's being accused of the murders of 3 girls, who, according to the investigation, were his girlfriends at the time. He's even been classified as a serial killer. And the year he was inactive between the last kill and the second to last was the year that we went out. Why didn't I report it to the police? Well, I tried. However, they told me it was useless since I hadn't seen him in years. Honestly, I'm not afraid anymore, but I am sad. I'm sad that thousands of women, specifically in my country, get killed every year, and very few people take the time to find who is responsible.